My favorite of these that I wanted to just share with you tonight is about hope. When the ummah seems like it's in a bad time, and then a worse time, and then a worse time, and then a worse time, we have to understand something. Allah Azza wa Jal gave us certain promises in His Qur'an, and when Allah gives a promise, I don't care what I see with my eyes. What I see with my heart overweighs what I see with my eyes. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. You don't become weak of heart. You don't become sad. You are going to be in the highest position if in fact you truly, truly believe. You are going to be in the highest of positions. So it doesn't matter if the ummah suffers a defeat after a defeat after a defeat. If we are getting one depressing news after another depressing news, across the world and even in the West, towards the Muslims, directed towards the Muslims, that is of no consequence. Because at the end of the day, لَا بُدَّ لِلَّيْلِ أَنْ يَنْجَلِي لَا بُدَّ لِلْقَيْدِ أَنْ يَنْكَسِرْ. At the end of the day, night's going to go. And the prison's going to break. The cell is going to break. There's hope from Allah that Allah will give the believer victory so long as they have iman. You can take everything away from a believer, you can't take their hope away. You can't take their hope away. This ummah is not allowed to be depressed. This ummah is not allowed to be without hope. We are the people that when we recite the book of Allah, the first thing we stand before Allah and say is Alhamdulillah. Which means we always look at the bright side. You cannot say Alhamdulillah when you're full of complaints. You can't truly say Alhamdulillah and praise and thank Allah when the only thing on your mind are negatives. You can't. You can only say Alhamdulillah ala ni'am, on good things, on blessings and favors and opportunities that Allah has given you. So this is a favor of Allah. As a matter of fact, some of the greatest people, think about it this way, some of the greatest people that lived in our history are heroes. The prophets, the messengers, the salihin, the Qur'an honored, that Allah mentioned in His Qur'an, they lived in some of the darkest times. They lived in when shirk and kufr, association with Allah, disbelief, corruption, evil was dominant. And they were the only source of guidance. They were never a majority. They were always what? A minority. And the forces of kufr seemed to get more and more and more aggressive as they continued their work. And that's what made them amazing. When we are living in times when darkness is great, that actually means Allah has honored us to relive some of the challenges of those great people. This is an opportunity from Allah. لا يستوي منكم من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل أولئك أعظم درجة. Those among you that spent and struggled and fought before victory came, they are at a higher level. They're not the same as those who came after when times were easy. So when the Muslim hopes, and I wish I was living in a time when times were easy, there were no challenges. Islam was all over the place and I could just go outside and hear the adhan and we would all walk to the masjid together and everybody else, left us alone and happy times. Well, you know what? Those happy times, the people who live in those happy times have not even close to the opportunity to please Allah and to make Allah proud like the people who live in difficult times. That's in and of itself, for everybody else living in difficult times is a reason for depression. For the believer living in difficult times is a reason to be grateful to Allah. That Allah saw you and He saw me up to the challenge. If we were not capable, Allah is completely capable of taking my ruh and blowing it into a mother at a time when things were much easier for the Muslims. But Allah chose my ruh and your ruh and He put them in the wombs of our mothers for this day and age. He created us for this day and age. He saw us fit to face today's challenges. This generation of people. So don't think less of yourselves, and that's again part of Iman bil Ghaib. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ.